Mark, not that you need to promote his cause at this point, but the ballots are coming in due Monday with the Heisman. Could you just say a few words about why I assume you think he should win it, what it would mean to the university and the program?
Well, I think the first part of that probably does speak for itself. I mean, Marcus, in every single way, represents what we want in a student athlete, what you want in your quarterback, what anybody would want in your quarterback. And I think much the same that Scooby Wright is the defensive equivalent of that. And I've been watching him a bunch, obviously, in the last week or so, and infinitely impressed with him as well. Both those guys are fantastic players, worthy of the highest honor.
Raise your hands. We have a mic on the other side as well. Mr. Peach.
At the beginning of the season, Scott Frost said something in one of the interviews that I thought was interesting. Somebody asked the question, is Marcus too nice? And Frost's answer was kind of interesting, that he felt like one of the goals he had for Marcus was to own how good he was, and to realize that as he went, so went the team in a way that perhaps he didn't when the season started. Do you think that was a valid point, and do you think, if it was, did Marcus do that?
Absolutely. Marcus has been working on that kind of characteristic flaw. I love that, but that's a flaw. His biggest flaw is when he came here, he had instant credibility and he was excellent. And then realizing how much that could permeate a team, how contagious that can become from his work ethic, his credibility that again happened the second he arrived on campus. He's always been a great worker. He's always been fantastic on the field from a talent standpoint. He's been great off the field, whether it's community service, academically, all that stuff. And just the realization that, hey, when I talk, people listen. That's something that was not natural, and that's great. That's fine. But realizing that has been a process, and he's not that nice. But he is that nice, but he's not that nice. When it's time to crank up the competitive juices, he does that very well.
Mark. And Finchers, I'm sorry. Oh, go ahead, Steve.
Mark, when obviously the focus is on the next game and the game after that, but when you look at Marcus having a chance,
it's on this game. Yeah.
When you look at Marcus having a chance to win the Heisman, what does that do for a university in terms of more a higher profile recruiting, that sort of thing? What does just having that trophy at the school do for this university and the football team?
I have no idea. Gets Chris in front. He's not normally here, so that's big time. But having the next game takes care of all that stuff. And I think again, our total focus, Marcus's total focus is today and our team and now. And all the other stuff we'll plan for him and manage his media obligations and all that kind of stuff, which again is that if and when that ever happened, I'm sure there's way more pluses than there are negatives. But the only way that happens again is just trusting that process, believing in everything that we do, as he has been in lockstep with from his time he arrived on campus.
All right, Coach. Royce Freeman has received a lot of attention locally, obviously, from the media because of the season he's had. But Nick Wilson for Arizona, freshman as well, has been just as impactful for his program. Can you compare the two in terms of what differences and likenesses they have?
They're both really good. They're both fantastic players, and they've got a little bit of a two-headed monster at tailback as well. Very productive. I think schematically, when you put a guy like that in a read option offense, or those kind of situations, when you get either Nick or Royce on an arm tackle, it's usually not good for the arm, and so they are very similar in that way of getting extra yards after contact. Very versatile, great protector, great hands. I know Nick as well as I know Royce, but Royce is a great competitor, and certainly looks like Nick is on film as well.
Andrew?
Great would have mentioned today that their defense is built to defend the spread, essentially, and that they're so good at it because they tackle very well in space. Obviously, Wright is at the forefront of that, but what else do you see from just their tackling, their form, and how they don't let guys kind of get away?
Yeah, they're very, very well coached up front in terms of the D-line, recognizing blocks and recognizing scheme. Again, a lot of carryover to what they do, and they been there, done that 1,000 times in practice as far as a zone read type of play, and just I think that combination of being coached really well, seen it a bunch of times, and then they have great talent in all those spots. Obviously, like you said, of them freeing up a great player in Scooby Wright, creates a lot of problems.
Molly Bloom in the back.
Mark, maybe I missed it, but there doesn't seem to be any sort of Heisman campaign from Oregon for Marcus Mariota. There's no mural in Manhattan. There's no notebook with his picture on it or anything. Was that a program decision, a university decision, a Mariota decision? What went into that? The no campaign.
I think our quote-unquote campaign is to play well, and to prepare great and play well, and all that other stuff takes care of itself. I think, the University of Oregon is in a position because of some of that other stuff in the past, that if you do that, there's that talk, and that, that's good. That's great. But at the same time of preparing well, playing well, and focusing on our process, that again, the rest of that stuff is a byproduct of that.
Chantel.
I was curious, what is the biggest difference on the defense that faced Arizona about a month ago and the defense that'll face Arizona this week?
Mindset, I would say. I think our guys are more confident in what they're doing. Total, hopefully total understanding in how we are attacking them, and I think that's part of it as well. You have to, their whole deal, as is our whole deal, is push the pace and try to keep the defense on their back foot. At some point, you have to put your foot down and turn it the other direction. And we've been headed, better in that direction. Not perfect, not near perfect, but a bunch of guys willing to work, toward getting better.
Jake Zimmerman.
Mark, on a similar line, a lot of the defensive guys have said since that game they feel they've practiced better.
Mm-hmm.
How have you seen that concretely in practice? What changes have you seen since that loss? And maybe not just on the defense, but the whole team.
Yeah, I think our guys in general have been extremely competitive, and we want tough, competitive practices when we're going, we're going, and that's an 11-man deal on each side of the ball, or if it's special teams or scout or whatever it is. I think the collective competitiveness of our team is very high. And so if I'm the scout team R3 on kickoff coverage, I have to give maximum effort to give that look. Same with offense, same with defense. And I think defensively we've communicated better. We've had a sense of urgency for every second of practice. Not every second. That's unrealistic, but the vast majority of a walkthrough, way more urgency, way more attention to detail, way more volume. All the things that you want to see out of those kind of situations.
Stephen Alexander in the front.
Mark, a few years ago when Darren left early for the NFL, one of the things that was speculated was that he was worried about Marcus coming up behind him. Did you ever get that sense? And further, I mean, just how kind of fortuitous was it that it gave Marcus an extra year?
I don't know the validity of the first part. I think that there was a lot of talk about town of some of those things. I never had that conversation directly with Darren. That was, a lot of that decision was on his own. And obviously we're big fans of him for the rest of his career. But yeah, it worked out okay certainly for Marcus, and how that played out. It maybe took out one competitor in the competition, so to speak, and that's always tough in a quarterback competition to get all the right number of reps, the equal opportunity, all those things. It is tough, and if that cleared the waters a little bit, maybe that helped. I don't know.
Molly Blue in the back.
Following up on Chantel's question, what's the biggest difference in the offense between the first game against Arizona and the game coming up?
Well, again, I hope in every phase, I hope we're better. I don't know if there's one main thing that you can point to. It's a collective deal. I think our guys our guys have loved to work, have loved to compete together. You know, as we said after that game, the second that game ended, it was, let's flip it, you know, go. The next morning we were, I can't remember exactly what it was, about 25 minutes before the first period started, the entire team, every coach, every player was on the practice field in let's fix it mode. We need to fix this mode, not hey you screwed this up, hey you dropped this ball, hey you did that. And I think that's a great sign. You don't want to find out, you know, you don't want to find out what it's like to come back from a loss, but what we learned about each other and what we learned about our team's resiliency, I think is nothing but impressive and positive.
Tyson?
Are you guys happy with the amount of game reps that Lockie's gotten this season? I know it's kind of a vague question, but because most of the time he comes in, it's either, you know, you guys are handing the ball off, but I think he has 25 attempts on the season. Is there a number that you guys?
That's another one of those questions you never want to have to answer, you know, right? Of how good is your backup A, B, or C? I think, you know, we have total confidence in him. If he went in the game and had to play X number of snaps, we would have, you know, the playbook would be open. I think would be the easiest way to deal with that.
You talked about flipping it and how they were so efficient at, I guess, not looking back, but looking forward after the loss. Last year's team, can you compare it to how last year's team moved on after a loss? I know they're two different teams, but just, I guess, the differences.
I think this group, you know, obviously there's a lot of guys that were part of that, and again, hopefully anytime you do something for a second time or something that you know somebody else did and that's bad, or you see somebody, you know, across the country do something that you don't want to repeat, hopefully you're learning from those situations. So in that vein, absolutely, hopefully we're all of us, myself included, all better at that. And dealing with success is sometimes harder than dealing with defeat, you know, and I think that's been equally impressive as sometimes coming off of a big win or what, you know, whatever is going right back to work and totally refocusing on the next team up, because that's, you know, again, sometimes that's harder. But you know, so far so good this week. We've had good preparation thus far, and have to play a you know, clean, great game to have a chance.
Chantel?
Another Marcus Mariota question for you. Just wondering, what is the furthest off even keel that you think you've ever seen Marcus, not necessarily in football, but just in general?
The furthest off even keel. I think he's a very, obviously he's a very mature young man. I think he's handled every bit of the media attention / scrutiny / all that stuff extremely well. He's obviously very passionate and prideful about what he does and how he does it. You know, I don't think I've ever seen him rattled totally, you know, in terms of when he's gotten after guys or gotten after the team or gotten after the offense. It's been appropriate. You know, it's not going crazy because somebody's shoelace was untied or something. He had a valid reason for getting after guys, and then equally he has a great feel for going up to somebody else and putting his arm around him and going, hey, you know, hey dude, we need you to do this better. We need you to do this right. You know what? You know, if it's that kind of just knowing which buttons to push with different guys.
James Simmons?
Mark, we talked to Scott Frost yesterday. He said he focused only on Arizona, but as happens with successful programs, his name is going to get talked about a lot, especially this year with Nebraska's opening. Do you think he's ready to be a head coach at this level of college football?
I have no idea. That's I've certainly given him my input on that, which will remain private, but and not relative to this year in that situation. But it's he is one of many coaches on our staff that have definitely that X factor of whatever, leadership, the charisma, all the things that go with what his long-term goals are, and you know, he's a great friend of mine and will be forever, whatever career, you know, path comes down the road, and you know, he is absolutely focused, as is the rest of the team, not on bronze statues or other jobs, but Arizona.
Time for one more question. Hey, Ryan?
Sort of along those same lines. John Neal thought about interviewing for UAB last year, which turned out to be a good move. They stayed.
Yeah.
What has it meant for you to have him on the staff, just given how hard it is to defend offenses and, you know, Nick retiring, to have a guy like him on your staff?
Yeah, our staff is unbelievable. Our staff is off the charts. You know, it's a bunch of guys that have been here for a long time, a bunch of guys that could have, would have, should have been in the NFL, could have, would have, should have had other head jobs. There's, you know, several guys turned down jobs, not just the ones that people know about, that is incredibly humbling to both personally and to our program, that happens. And I think, again, that says a lot about them. It says a lot about our players. It says a lot about our program. But yeah, this group of guys is you know, the players off, you know, incredibly. You don't do what those guys have done by accident, you know, and whether it's Marcus and the leadership that he has demonstrated, and obviously the play, but there's more to it than, you know, just one guy, and the assistants here are phenomenal.
Thank you, Coach Helfrich. We